Making a video. Yay. Um, yeah, finally rained a little, so things should perk up a bit. Anyway, so I just wanted to mention a video, one of those Google Plus rooms for us, with Hazy guy. And, it's very good conversation I think we had about determinism and optimism bias and, a few subjects. And, I listened to some of it and I said, boy, some of this stuff is pretty good. So anyway, I just thought I would link to that. If you got some time, especially the first, 40 minutes or so. The rest is probably good too. Anyway, so just on those kind of subjects, there's so many ways to look at this thing about perception and why people think what they think. I mean, the why they think it is tricky because, we're so, there's this problem of our psychology, our wants, our desires, our ambitions for our future, and, perception that somebody's threatening the world we live in. I guess I could almost argue that some of that comes with these people who are so aggressively defensive on the subject of inheritance or something like that, is they're not really thinking beyond either their own acceptance of it or their own ability to control it, and not thinking how it would be in the long term. They're just thinking about some kind of narrow view of time and not recognizing the value in the long term. So even that might be a valuable subject to focus on. It's just this how necessary it is in philosophy or thinking seriously about any subject to always think in terms of long-term consequences and the value of doing something and how it accrues into the future. Not so much what it means in the present, which doesn't really exist, in the short term versus the long term. And that's one of these rational axioms that we should all be able to agree on, is that it would be not really rational to assume the world is going to blow up, by natural causes in 10 years. It would be rational to assume it's going to be here, and that everything we do is going to affect the future in a chain, and that sometimes very small changes we make now will have a very large productive change in the future, by preventing or mitigating against, huge amounts of harm. And the fact that that's, a conversation requiring conversation is even sort of annoying. Why should we have to argue, about the fact that the future is bigger than the present? That it's going to have a lot more stuff in it, and that that all value has to be measured in terms of those long-term consequences. Again, like I said, it should be like a premise accepted by all people having a conversation about any subject. And so then when you get into a conversation about the kind of wasteful, unproductive things we do, like even meat eating, and not to recognize that if you were to create a future, there's no real rational reason to create people highly dependent on meat eating. That even if you could migrate them to a very small percentage of their diet being meat, that there would be fundamental value in that, and that even meat eaters should be able to concede that point, that if they were to make the world, and we're essentially making the future, that you'd want to make that kind of world, that this unnecessary consumption of animals and the harm that comes with it is completely unproductive. It's not only bad for human beings, and this diet is not very good, health-wise, meat eating in large amounts, but that it's also highly expensive to the environment and destructive to the welfare of animals, and so it doesn't win on any one of those levels. This really should be something that could be agreed upon. Even if you were a voracious meat eater, you should be able to concede that a better designed world, that wouldn't be what people do. But they'd have a more efficient way to secure their healthy sustenance, and that's the world we want to migrate to. That's the world we want to fertilize, so to speak, and have grow from the gardening we're doing in terms of creating the future, the influence we're having. So anyway, I'll leave this here and perhaps finish this video on the way back. Perhaps. Feeling quite strangely. Nothing new there, though. Anyway, so till soon enough, possibly. Such. Alright, where was I? Yeah. Having a rough day. Anyway, alright, long-term, short-term, short-term. Yeah, this it just seems logical. And there should be these just seems logical things that we could agree on and just get this conversation thing about what's the rational scope of rational thought. In that kind of... Yeah, I mean, it's like the other day I did the optimism video. Optimizing video. I think that's what I did. Anyway, and this is just trying to get our peak performance, and that should be recognized as rational. I mean, regardless of perspective on some sort of grand purpose or design for life, the idea that we would try to optimize, maximize efficiency, get the most we can out of this experience, and quit pretending that it's okay to do it in a sloppy, reckless, messy, haphazard. It's just not. It's not a good thing. It's not constructive to be. To not pay attention to the fact that there are different outcomes possible, and peak performance is a rational objective, is to get the most we can out of it, to do the most we can, without getting into dangerous areas of genocidal warfare or something. We can do, I think, a lot better than we're doing, in terms of forcing each other to moderate our clinging to traditions and past ideologies. I mean, even that kind of thing, like these people still in love with their ethnicity, wearing it on their sleeve. It's just so unproductive. The future isn't going to look like you. Get over it. It's just the truth. It's going to get melting potted. And if you think that's not the truth, if you think you can stop that change, I just think you're deluding yourself, and you're dangerous in the sense that the world's going to need us to think ahead of time about the minefield the future has to traverse, and we can make that easier or harder. We can fuel the fire now We can, pour gasoline on the future, or we can do something better than that. So, I guess the point is these conversations have to have more of a theme. These human conversations, I don't mean just my conversation, but everyone's conversation. Recognizing that it's not about today. It's almost entirely not about yesterday. And that it's about tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. And that's where all the eyeballs have to be focused. And it seems reasonable that I would reasonably request that reasonable people talk about reasonable effects on the future being the reasonable thing we worry about reasonably, kind of thing. So, enough of a video. You'll have to do. Let's see. I'll have to do. Holding the camera weird. It's breaking my arm. It's literally breaking it. I can feel it. Yeah. I don't think I have anything else. Yeah, I'm just in such a weird place. I don't know. Biochemically, there's something very strange going on. But, not really your problem. Looking for caterpillars. That's what I do now. I look for caterpillars on my plants. Evil little, nasty, disgusting caterpillars. Anyway, flowers very lovely, lovely, lovely. These are kind of a nice pink here. Very nice pink. A big ass flower. Big. Yeah. So, butterfly, I'll do that. Maybe you'll like that. Oh, too late. Got away. So anyway, till next time and such. Shit, I'm still around. I feel fragile for some reason. Very fragile. So, yeah, hit the button now. Enough already.